Svetlana. Yeah, where did you put my Big Johnson t-shirt? It's 30 years old. Yeah. Yeah, it's called Big Johnson with a funny character on the shirt. Yeah. Yeah, big nose. Symbolic of something else. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Nobody cares about the videos. Who cares? If anything, I should be proud of them. Whatever. I warrant the shirt. Where did you put the Big Johnson shirt? Oh my God. You bleached it? It's now tie-dyed. Wow. You had 2 jobs as an intern. You wanted an internship to be a consultant. An international consultant. I told you I would help you. Now the first, you only had 2 things you needed to do to be an international consultant. The first thing was actually all right, I guess. I mean, you could see the videos of yourself, whatever. You make a big deal about it, I don't care. The second thing was washing like certain 30-year-old shirts, like my Big Johnson shirt. If you ruin my Malian Sons and my Billabong, our relationship is pretty much over. Yeah, whatever, who cares? Oh, wow, so what? Oh, so what? They're not electing me or my weenus. Yeah, they're electing my father. Nobody cares about a website in Nicaragua. No, they're not even, you can't even get it. Well, whatever. If Paris Hilton and, well, so what? Then maybe I'll start a reality show. Fine. Yeah, I saw the Dodger game. It was amazing, I know. I'm so happy. Yeah, why are you changing topics? Just focus. What'd you do with my shirt? It's a 30-year-old shirt I bought at a swap meet. Okay, now we're talking about the videos again. Nobody cares. Okay? I'm not on the ballot. No. Oh, that's funny. Oh, I call my dad the big guy. Yeah, okay. Well, the big guy in the videos, he's not on the ballot either. Okay? And you should be very happy. What? I don't care. I don't care what people see. Great. They think it's disinformation from Putin. Every Democrat thinks it's disinformation from Putin. What do you care? The Republicans will believe anything. Oh, like Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. don't videotape themselves? Anyone born after 1993 videotapes themselves taking a poop. Yeah, so what? It's natural. Yeah. So what? I don't care. No. It's 10 days left. Yeah? Why would it hurt my father's campaign when everyone does it anyway? No, not the crack part, no. It's natural. Fine. Oh, yeah, right. Who? Amber said she's going to sue me? Oh, good luck. Whatever. I don't care. Okay, I have to go. Yeah. Well, maybe it'll start your modeling career fine. I mean, 2 billion people see your tuchus. It's not my problem. You probably should be happy and get an agent. Okay, fine. I'll talk to you later. Whatever. Find my shirt. Find my shirt already! 30 years old. You can't find those anymore. And don't ruin my Malian Sons. Okay, bye. Whatever. Go leave. Leave the room. Tired of being surrounded by neophytes and people who are essentially sycophants. Oh my God. I do so much for everyone. And at the end of the day, nobody appreciates me. God, I can't wait till we just have the White House so I can relax in the Lincoln bedroom and film myself doing a wild thing. Gosh. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very, very much. Hunky Dory, hello. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very, very much for tuning in. To my super chat, thank you first and foremost, Eric H526, Luke St. Martin. Thank you very much for being the best moderators in all of YouTube. We have the best chat here every single day at 1 p.m. and every single evening at 9 p.m. We just have such a fantastic time because everybody's just awesome. And we have two fantastic moderators, and there's never any drama on the chat. And if there ever is, you have Quick Draw Luke St. Martin and the regulator Eric H526. And it's just fantastic. And to my super chat, I don't have $20 million in venture capital funding, but I do have the most wonderful viewership in all of YouTube. And so I thank you. Harry, thank you so very, very much, Harry. Sigma Nu UCLA. Go Dodgers. That's right. Congratulations to the Dodgers. Oh, my God. That was such a fantastic game. And the Dodgers are on their way. The Dodgers are on their way to their 7th world title. They have currently 6 world titles. And 1955, 1959, 1963, 1965. Koufax going on, I believe, 2 days against the Twins. And that lineup was awesome with Harmon Killenbrew, and I believe Rod Carew was in that lineup as well. I believe so. 1981 and 88, Kirk Gibson, of course. And this World Series team is a really, really good team. So go Dodgers. Sigma Nu UCLA, thank you so very much. The Great Boobala. The Great Boobala. Proud to be a poor. Here's some chorus. The Great Boobala, thank you. You just the fact you're watching and giving so many awesome vibrations. That's all that counts. The Great Boobala. I swear your intros are too good for you, YouTube. The Great Boobala, thank you. Todd Rubel. Boobalinski to you. You know what? It's just a matter. I'm doing it. His name's probably in the algorithm. So I'm just going to call him Boobala. Todd Rubel, thank you so very, very much as always. And Joshua Munn, hello. The ultimate Trump warrior. Biden, yeah, pretty much. Biden 20 is worse than the pandemic. Todd, the ultimate warrior, thank you so very, very much. Hey, love the ultimate warrior. He was one of the greats. He really was. Ultimate Warrior was one of the great wrestlers in the WWF of all time. Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, I get a message, and I'll just speak in HA Badman code. See, I fly below the radar. That's why people who really enjoy me understand that they understand, like the people who have watched me for a while, they understand, and it's not that difficult. So I get a message from somebody who is actually not even interested in either Trump or Botox be the exhumed body. And I see actors in a disinformation campaign, probably from Russia or maybe other countries. And these actors sure look like, well, let's just say they're pretty awesome. from a amusing perspective. So these actors really seem like they're in an adult film. Anyway, if somebody that isn't even really interested, like somebody not really interested in politics, sends me these wonderful this wonderful collage of disinformation in the form of really, really interesting pics and really interesting documents that, by the way, the Post has published and all that stuff. But the pictures, really interesting. So if they found their way to me, the entire planet has seen them. Now, it's not a matter of, this is the issue. He's won Ohio, he's won Florida. That's about 47 electoral college votes. He goes in, he can actually lose Pennsylvania, lose Wisconsin, lose Minnesota, lose Nevada, and win Michigan. He's won. Okay? He wins Minnesota and Nevada, loses Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. He's won. So Trump has numerous ways to win. North Carolina is not a swing state. Sorry, Democrats. Arizona is not a swing state. Sorry, Democrats. Texas is not a swing state. Sorry, Democrats. When Texas becomes a blue state, rest assured that'll be when Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania become red states. So just because I'm banking on Trump winning because he's won those states already. Trump would not have won had Democrats already won Texas, if they won Arizona. Just because Kyrsten Sinema became a senator after like 3-4 recounts doesn't mean it's a red state. You know, they won that election with Kyrsten Sinema won that seat with like, you know, just the mail-in ballots just, you know, trickling in 3-4 days after the election and recount, and then there was just, so it took a while. But if I got, you have to understand also, like, most of the people I know are hardcore Democrats. I do have friends who are Trump supporters, but they're not into politics that much. They just like President Trump. I mean, they're into politics, but not like really, really into it. The whole planet has seen this, and it's not compromising so much because of having relations. Oh, I don't see anything wrong with it. It's totally natural. It's not compromising because it's just relations. It's compromising because you are putting yourself in a position. Well, from what I've seen, numerous interesting positions. You're putting yourself in a position where you are a national security threat as a family. That family is a national security threat, even more so than the Clintons. Because at least Madam Secretary had everyone in the intelligence apparatus helping her out and allowing her to run email servers outside of the government. Most likely, almost certainly they monitored everything that went on that system. She had top secret intelligence on servers outside of the United States government. Even I'm tired of talking about it. So they've won in that respect. Sigma Nu, UCLA. HA, you see the... Well, Sigma Nu, UCLA, that's supposed to be, you know, this like... Are you talking about the black and white photos? Sigma Nu, UCLA. I'm not sure which photos you're referring to, but there's one where it's kind of like a there's one where it's kind of like a father-son, very bizarre. Like, well, Biden. This is the thing. Sigma Nu, UCLA. Everybody here. Biden will, like, you know, slobber over this microphone if you told him to. He would embrace like a python Hey, come here, Python. I have so much love for everybody. Is that asbestos? Let me kiss the asbestos. I love you. It's just a shtick. They're like, he's not really that lovey-dovey. He might be, but it's part of his political, like, he's a political creature who became touchy-feely as part of his repertoire. Okay, Biden embraces and slobbers over things and touches things the way people just breathe and, it's just a normal way for him to act. It's not so much a genuine show of emotion as it is a ploy or public relations stunt to curry favor among voters. So it's not like, they're like, oh, if integrity is on the ballot, you vote for President Trump. President Trump has infinitely more integrity than any Democrat. Ask Bernie Sanders. Ask all the business associates that met the big man. Who's the big man? Who's the big man? I want to know who the big man is. Sigma Nu, thank you so very much. Sigma Nu UCLA, thank you. PJP72, I'm still freaking out about Texas. Rally was awesome. Better than Guns N' Roses concert. Nice. No, Texas is fine. That's not going to go. There's no way it would go blue. PJP72, thank you. PJP72 as always, thank you. George Rivera Jr. Let's all vote. Trump needs so much of a lead, no matter how much the left cheats, they won't be able to overtake the red tsunami. Exactly. And that's a great point. That's an excellent point. Excellent point from George Rivera Jr. Excellent point. There's no lead that's safe. You have to go in with Sigma Nu UCLA. I think it was John Wooden who said, was it John Wooden? Somebody said the best score to go into halftime is down 2, because that psychologically means you got to just keep on going. George Rivera Jr., thank you. Bogdano Papai, Trump for the win. H.A. Badman for the win. Thank you. Bogdano Papai, thank you. The great Bubala. I'm at a rally for Joe, and 4 people showed up. Exactly. Democrats don't understand. They're like, Biden's polling lead is continuing. His polling lead is solid. Polls are a reflection of media coverage. If the entire media... Democrats truly think... I spoke to a Democrat the other day, and they said, well, media doesn't tell people how to think. Media just reflects what's going on. I'm like, what? They truly believe. Here's the interesting... because... The New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN, MSNBC, the Washington Post, because they validate the biases and because they fabricate scandals with Trump, all of these scandals are fabricated, Trump didn't pressure anyone. Suggesting something isn't pressuring. Furthermore, he should have pressured because Botox B is corrupt beyond belief. And he has an apparatus around him that's a serious national security threat. But the Steele dossier was unverified, complete disinformation, literally riddled with disinformation from Putin, literally. It was purchased by Trump's direct political rival, and it was talked about endlessly and championed, and it was legitimized, and it was lent credibility, and it was complete garbage and made up and salacious, and that was a legitimate story, but this isn't a legitimate story, even though it's corroborated infinitely more than the Steele dossier. And so media, we're seeing now, with everything being swept under the rug, with the brazen inability to cover a legitimate story, legitimate scandal, and the emails are legitimate and accurate. Like, from the moment the Steele dossier came out, Trump said it was nonsense, it was a lie, it was a hoax, and he pushed back and he said that's not true. From the moment Botox B, his son's computer came out, emails, hard drive, data, incriminating discussions. Thanks for meeting your father. Thanks. Okay, the big man. I got to give money to the big man. The big man takes half of the money or 10% of the money. Not one. Oh, these are not our emails. They could simply put everything to rest, saying these are. They can't deny the accuracy and the fact that the emails are pristine. They can't deny that because they actually are. You're talking about a person who literally handed a computer repairman his computer. Okay? That goes along with the behavior of videotaping yourself, tubining, and engaging in relations. Okay? See, Botox B is sloppy. The Clintons are like really, 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 and I still think, I don't know how, but I still think Madam Secretary, but it doesn't, look, at the end of the day, I will have predicted 2 straight elections because Trump's going to win. And this level of support, this level of enthusiasm, this level of passion, this level of belief, this level of hope, all linked to Trump 2020. This is actually like, I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. I was the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. I can tell you, this level I have never seen before of enthusiasm, of hope, of belief, because it's linked to political power. And it's linked to somebody, that political power is somebody who fights. Trump fights corrupt intelligence officials. Trump fights the Lincoln Project. Trump fights Republicans in his party. Bernie fights nobody. Bernie fought nobody. And there was so much enthusiasm for that little moment. There was lightning in a bottle for that little moment, that if Democrats had capitalized, they could have actually won the election in 2016, but they didn't. Because they're so utterly corrupt. They actually, Elizabeth Warren ran specifically to prevent Bernie from winning. This is a fact. This is not conjecture. It is a fact. It is a fact. The left is completely dysfunctional. They cheated Bernie Sanders. And it's like, you have a situation where only one person fights. I don't want to vote for any political party that has the Lincoln Project within that political party. The Lincoln Project people ran on a marriage amendment. Okay? Let the Daily Beast and Washington Post and New York Times, let them know that the Lincoln Project was for a marriage amendment. Maybe not all the members of the Lincoln Project, but they were working for people, or perhaps some of the members were for a marriage amendment. And they were also pushed never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts, where we're still sending Americans, or we still have Americans in those locations. President Trump is removing Americans from those locations. President Trump has ended our involvement in Afghanistan. The disingenuous, hypocritical, dishonest rebuttal is, well, he hasn't removed all of them. Yes, because you are voting for Democrats who are buoyed by the Lincoln Project people and media who don't want any. Like when he removed Americans from Syria, it was like the end of the world. So you have no right critiquing President Trump if you're voting Democrat, because the Lincoln Project does not want Americans to leave. And if President Trump is not removing Americans fast enough, it's because of you, liberal Democrat or Democratic Socialist or progressive or anyone on the left who views Trump as the biggest threat to humanity. He's literally reversing U.S. foreign policy. President Obama should never have sent Americans to locations they weren't in, even during the Bush administration, but he did. Now President Trump is removing them, or has removed them already, and is continuing to remove them. Rome wasn't built in a day. It's like the same thing with the economic opportunity zones. Like, well, it hasn't worked. Same thing with the tariffs. Well, it hasn't worked immediately. Well, it's like the steel CEOs want the tariffs because it's a short-term strategy. It's a short-term tactic, meaning a tactic that will help within the span of 2 to 3 years. Okay? You can't... In 30 years, China will be the number one economy in the world. We will be a distant third after India. Scorp target! Can you help me carve this pumpkin? Can you help me carve this pumpkin, Margie and Bill? Yeah. And just scoop it out. Scoop out that orange loveliness. Why are you looking at us like that? I have no reason. Just scoop it out and eat it. Yeah, put it in your mouth. Yeah. Ah, it's Trump. You're eating Trump. What's up? 8 years. Get out of my house. Scorp target. Thank you. But see, to the new viewers, I don't think anybody knows these are old jokes, skits. That basically don't rub it in when President Trump wins on Thanksgiving. Scorp target, thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, Scorp target. Thank you. But yeah, I mean, you have a situation where they're going in. See, the media says, "Oh, his polls are." Sam, hello. Oh, his polls have held up. That's because you haven't. That's because you haven't polled people who, who care about the disinformation that actually isn't. But whatever. When they say that the polls have held up, they are talking about people who don't want to learn new information about Botox B. They're talking about, okay, the former vice president is categorically even more corrupt than the Clintons. This is a feat. This is like breaking the single season home run record. Okay? This is like breaking Maris and then McGuire and then Barry Bonds and setting a new record like 80-something homers. The reason is because the Clintons, they do their thing because they have a foundation and money's funneled through the foundation, and the foundation is a family member. So the entire United States media says, well, you can't prove anything. You can't prove anything. And now you have emails literally saying, thank you for our meeting with your father. It's like Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, but the roles are reversed. They're reversed. So it's like when you have meetings, see, there are no meetings. There are no emails. There are no emails that Madam Secretary had because she deleted all of them. Okay? Madam Secretary had 3 attorneys delete 30,000 emails, and then she called them yoga emails, and then the media said, no problem, it's yoga emails. And then you have really smart people saying, well, I am not going to say that she was hiding her information. Okay? You have Madam Secretary with private servers and then unilaterally, and then outsourcing to Platte River and Dado. And they were sloppy. They sent a laptop in the mail. Likely destroyed the computer, but whatever. And then they said it was lost in the mail. And media, Comey, they all believe, yeah, that makes sense. When Comey wrote the Comey letter, it was a cover-up gone wrong. It was so utterly corrupt and sloppy that they're like, oh my God, we have classified intel. Anthony Weiner's computer. Oh my God, he's tubing himself with classified data. What do we do? Okay, we're going to cover your own behind week before. Notice how they don't descend with vitriol and venom against Comey because they know Comey. They don't. Okay, Comey got the book deal. He's on CNN. He got the New York Times, fluff pieces. He's part of the team because they realized, they're like, yeah, there's nothing he could do. It was so utterly corrupt. It was a cover-up gone wrong. The former vice president is even more corrupt because he's even more sloppy, and he has less to offer than the Clintons, which means he has to work even harder. Which means being vice president is actually less. Being Secretary of State, you have actually more power. You have more influence. So Madam Secretary had a lot more to offer, and her husband was president for 8 years. So those contacts, I mean, they were hooked up. I mean, Christopher Hitchens talked about, the Clintons and how they never met a foreign donor they didn't love. But the former vice president is worse, like infinitely worse, because he's sloppy, because he has, his most important business partner could be his brother, and that's another story, but could be his son. His son is on the board of directors of a company, and they say, well, he did nothing wrong. Yes, he did. It doesn't matter if it's not against the law. You are not only a target, but you are opening yourself up and opening the United States government up to a form of graft that Tammany Hall called honest graft. There's nothing wrong with being on a board. And when they lose again, they're going to yell and scream, but see, they're so disingenuous and corrupt, and their treachery will do them in yet again. There's nothing wrong with being on a board of directors. Nothing. There's nothing wrong with working for a foreign company. Nothing wrong. There's something wrong with setting up a meeting for your father when your father is the former vice president and he could then become president. That is something there's something wrong there, because you are providing access to the highest levels of the United States government. There's something wrong, very wrong, whether it's legal or not, to have a son on the board of directors of a corrupt energy corporation while you're vice president. And even Marie Yovanovitch, during impeachment, stated, oh, yeah, the President Obama's administration, and she committed perjury, but whatever. The left commits perjury left and right. Ask Brennan and Comey. Brennan and Clapper, but Comey did also. One of the impeachment witnesses is on record. One of the impeachment witnesses is on record as saying that President Obama's administration notified her that they were aware that if she was asked any questions about the vice president's son, that, listen to this, she was supposed to tell Republicans in the Senate when she was being confirmed as ambassador, she was supposed to tell Republicans to refer any questions to the vice president's office. Thank you, Rand. Thank you. So they literally knew that the vice president was compromised. Now the entire planet has seen his tubing and has seen him tubining. Okay? So you have to ask yourself, we're going into an election where integrity is on the line. If integrity is on the line, okay? If integrity is on the line, then you vote for President Trump. You don't vote for a person who obviously got wealthy from politics. Okay, politics is not lucrative. Somebody tell that to the Clintons. Somebody tell that to Botox B and his family. Politics should not be lucrative. There should be nothing lucrative about politics. Why is politics lucrative? Why? Why is politics lucrative? Somebody answer that. Ladies and gentlemen, why is politics lucrative? Okay, exactly. Graft. Politics is lucrative because of bribery and graft. Politics is lucrative because you start off with a government salary. A government salary is what? Around 200, 250 as a vice president. Okay? And less than that if you're a senator, or around that, I think, if you're in Congress. That's not enough to get 9 million, 10 million, 15 million like Botox B has. How do you get 10 to 20 million dollars in 50 years when you've never had a business of your own? How do you get $20 million or $10 million, or if you're Madam Secretary and, oh my goodness, we worked so hard. I had to speak for about 2 hours and I got $500,000 from a Moscow investment bank and I worked so hard. I mean, you know what? I mean, that H.A. Badman has his super chat. I'm sure he makes about $500,000 every time he speaks. I worked hard. I work to get the job done, baby. I work. I mean, 2 hours, I deserve even more than $500,000. You get $500,000 for a Moscow investment bank speech, and Trump is the person? And Trump is the person who's compromised? You meet with Vladimir Putin at his home, like Bill Clinton did, and Trump is the person who's compromised? You have a foundation that gets $156 million from 85 donors, and Trump is compromised? I mean, if you're going to judge Trump by a certain standard, make sure to judge your side by the same standard. And if you utilize the same standard as you utilize with Trump, then your side is kaput, done. But if you are Botox B, the exhumed body, you were a senator from Delaware, a very small state with one of the smallest economies in the entire country, and you were vice president for 8 years. And one of the selling points for the former vice president, has always been, and it was Bernie's selling point also, he's one of the poorest members of Congress. He's been on record as saying, I remember in 2008, they were talking about how Botox B was had the least in terms of net worth, monetary net worth, the least, the least amount of money in the Senate, because all these senators are millionaires. He for years, up until becoming vice president, had, I think, something like $400,000 to $600,000. Maybe you could do that if you save money and, for 50 years, making $200,000 or what. You could do that. But then how do you go from, in the span of 8 years, to $400,000 to $600,000 to, because he didn't have, it wasn't 50 years of saving and investing and real estate and no. It was the past 12 years. I mean, no, 11 years, because eight years prior to 2016. So 12 years. You go from, a savings of $400,000, $600,000, which is what Botox B had, to now 10 to 15 million. That must have been a pretty good time. I mean, gosh, we had I mean, the stock market went up, but I don't think there are any spider funds or mutual funds, or the S&P didn't go up enough to warrant that. How do you go from 400 to 600,000 to 10 to 15 million dollars? And interestingly enough, your returns don't say that. That's interesting too. He was very proud how he showed his tax returns. Yeah, very, very proud. You do so because you find creative ways, like Botox B did, to have two houses. You find creative ways to get kickbacks. You find creative ways to speak to people about your knowledge pertaining to the United States government. Do you think people spend $100,000 or $500,000 for Bill Clinton's views on politics in 2015 or 2010? He was out of the presidency for 10 or 11 years already. A former president's base of knowledge isn't worth $500,000 for 2 hours. Sorry, it's not. It's not. Unless you're giving nuclear launch codes, or I'm talking about. I'm obviously joking and being facetious. Bill Clinton doesn't have anything in his mind worth $500,000 for 2 hours. Nothing, except contacts. That's why they raised $10 billion for the people of Haiti, and only 3% of the money went to the people of Haiti. Because I wrote an interview, amazing journalist, Daddy Cherry, who is she was born in Haiti, and she was, and I interviewed her regarding what happened to the people of Haiti. And it was $10 billion that was raised. And even the New York Times says 9.5, 9.6, so around $10 billion. The people of Haiti got, and this was after the earthquake, 10 years ago. Michael Toms, thank you so very much, Michael. Thank you to my viewers in Canada. I love you. Thank you so very, very much. Thank you, Michael. Thank you so very, very much. Michael and Scorp Target and Boobala and everybody. The people of Haiti should have received the $10 billion. The reason they didn't is very simple. You have subsidiary organizations from Madam Secretary's foundation. They speak to CEOs, to decision makers, to people with access to other foundations who want to donate. They speak to wealthy tech individuals. They speak to wealthy entrepreneurs. They speak to actors. They speak to directors. They speak to everybody. Why do you think a person's going to spend $100,000 a plate to go to an actor's house to speak to Madam Secretary for the Chardonnay and the salmon? You think that, no, it's called networking, which leads to either graft or business opportunities for the politician or people there. That's why 85 donors gave $156 million. Then they say, well, you can't prove anything. Well, you couldn't prove anything, but you impeached Trump over a phone call where he didn't pressure anyone. That's a term that is subjective. Pressuring is a subjective term. It's almost like saying that there was graft with money. Well, actually, that's even more objective, but you could say that's subjective because there's no direct evidence. Aside from money flowing into the foundation and beneficial treatment taking place for countries that won weapons deals, for UBS, for Boeing, for Uranium One. But with Botox B, it's the same thing. Michael Toms, thank you. You literally say that he literally said you're not going to get $1 billion in loan guarantees unless you force out a prosecutor. It's completely and utterly irrelevant if Republicans wanted that prosecutor out. It wasn't part of U.S. foreign policy. I want to know who in the State Department, was it Kerry, Who in the State Department sanctioned this? Did President Obama sanction it? Nobody has yet to explain how the vice president is given the authority to fire anyone in another country. It's never happened before. When has it ever happened? I want to see a list of times we forced people out and utilize $1 billion in loan guarantees. Would love to hear that to hear that long list of times. I don't think JFK was like, you're not getting $1 billion in loan guarantees unless you fire a prosecutor we do not like. I don't think JFK did that. He did other things similar to Vice President, not the substance issues, but he didn't do that. So, California veteran, ACB confirmation tomorrow. Fantastic, I know. That is amazing. I know. Thank you, Sam. That is fantastic. But the thing is, it's like, you have somebody who's completely and utterly compromised. Okay, Trump was rich before politics. Democrats are so delusional, they think Trump is poor. He's mired in poverty and debt, and he worked with Russia, and he's a supremacist. They're completely delusional. They're not psychologically or emotionally ready to lose, which will be very interesting and frightening and amusing. If you talk the talk, listen. They spent 4 years breaking friendships, family bonds, trying to ostracize and silence and denigrate and mock and humiliate people online. I know this. I've been on both. I've been in that world when I was with Bernie Sanders and I was supporting Bernie Sanders. They were the venom that they spewed against Bernie Sanders is very similar to what they did with Trump. The difference is Trump fights back, so that gets them even more enraged. The reason they don't like Trump is that he fights back. That's why they kind of accept Bernie Sanders. The average Democrat despises Bernie Sanders. Okay, we're going on almost 1,200 people. This is a fact. The average Democrat the Democratic establishment absolutely despises Bernie Sanders, but they need to use him and pundits that say vote Democrat no matter what to get idealistic voters that could go to the Green Party or other parties. That's why AOC is there. AOC and Bernie Sanders have become the biggest gift to President Trump because they make hollow promises. They make promises that you have to lack intelligence at this point. Definitely wisdom, but you have to actually lack intelligence to believe that they would pass a Medicare for All bill ever. That they would pass a Green New Deal bill, legislation, not a public relations ploy in a resolution they didn't even vote on in the Senate. You have to lack intelligence to believe that Democrats would ever in a million years raise taxes enough to actually make Medicare for All work. Or let's just say I'm wrong and you don't have to raise that. They'll never pass Medicare for All. They're lying. They cheated Bernie Sanders in 2016, and they cheated him in 2020. And then Elizabeth Warren said that a woman couldn't win. That he said a woman couldn't win. That's a lie. And then they did the same thing to President Trump. But the point is, they're not going to defund ICE. They're not going to abolish ICE. They're not going to abolish the Electoral College. They're not going to pack the courts. They're not going to pass the Medicare for All bill. They're not going to ban fracking. They're not going to pass a Green New Deal legislation. They're not going to do anything. They lie all the time. Count Bubala. John Brennan doesn't lack intelligence. He seems to have, he pretended that he had all this intelligence, but he definitely lacks wisdom. I'd much rather have wisdom than intelligence. And they lack both. Democrats have convinced themselves that the entire country despises Trump, loathes Trump as much as they do, but that's not possible. It's pretty much impossible to dislike a politician as much as some Democrats dislike Trump, because they've actually entered a very dangerous, frightening, warped, hysterical, apoplectic world where their dislike of Trump is not actually Trump. It's actually a person he's not. They have had to convince themselves that Russia interfered in the election. The only evidence they have is that a whole bunch of smart people in the intelligence community said so. They have they don't know which Facebook ads swung voters. They don't know which Twitter bots swung voters. They don't know how many votes were swung in Wisconsin or Michigan or Pennsylvania or even Iowa. They don't know how many votes were swung because Bernie was cheated and the DNC email showed that he was cheated. They have no clue. They have absolutely no clue. But they say it enough so they believe it. President Trump has been a horrible supremacist and bigot. Okay? President Trump has not been... if you are truly a racist person, then you wouldn't vote for Trump because Trump actually does good things for people of color. Signed the First Step Act prison reform legislation, overturning the sentencing disparities, the 100-to-1 sentencing disparity for people of color and people, the one being people that look like the vice president's son, who for the same narcotic, by the way, that the vice president's son uses. Isn't that interesting how you can use that narcotic? So crack is not bad if you're the vice president's son. But there's a 100-to-1 sentencing disparity between that and the powder. And guess who wrote that? It was Biden. And that is a fact. It's not made up. That's a fact. He literally started the systemic issues that President Trump has to dismantle with the First Step Act. He voted alongside Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld. President Trump is a transformative president. I thought President Obama would be. I cried tears of joy when President Obama was elected. And with Bernie Sanders, I mean, Lord knows, I wrote like 100 articles in The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salon. I got hit pieces from the left because I was too far left for their taste. PJP 72. This is the most perilous time in our history. SCOTUS adding states will make us one party. Well, they won't add any states, and they won't. Oh, that's another thing they're not going to do. That's what they're not going to. That's what you just reminded me what they won't do. You just reminded me. They'll never add states. They'll never add. Puerto Rico does not want to be a state. And then President Obama didn't want D.C. to become a state. So that's the seventh thing that they claim they're going to do that they won't do. Or abolish the Senate. Oh, yeah. That's the eighth thing is they want to abolish the Senate. You have the most absurd ideas on the left. They want to abolish the Senate. The whole point of having two houses in Congress is to ensure that the entire country is on board with legislation, with a constitutional amendment, was supposed to be with foreign policy. That small states get a say. That's a good thing. It is good for Iowa to have the same say in America's future as California. It's very good. Because we have 50 states for a reason. We have 50 different views of life. That's why it's called the United States. That's why we have... Antonin Scalia was talking about this. We have the United States of America, and it's not the Bill of Rights that makes us special, because he was talking about the Soviet Union having a Bill of Rights of their own. It's the fact that we have two houses, one based on population, and then one that protects the rights of smaller states, or the viewpoint or the vantage point of smaller states. So you don't have just New York, California, and Texas controlling the entire country. Because we have the third most populous state in the world, and I think we have the third largest landmass, third or second largest landmass. They are different economic considerations, or the different economic needs in Alabama than there are in California. Different needs in Massachusetts than there are in Oregon. So you don't want to do away with the Senate, okay? And simply having, they're like, oh, well, it should be a direct democracy. Well, thank God it's not direct democracy, because if we had a direct democracy in the 60s, you might not have passed the 1964 Civil Rights Act. Because the average sentiment in the 60s was if it was just a direct democracy, you might not have, we were a different world back then. So, but anyway, I mean, it's like they have all these ideas. Anyway, they're not even serious about them. PJP 72, thank you. And it's like, this is actually a larger, more scandalous, more this is more of a political catastrophe. I'm telling you, I'm tired when H.A. Badman is tired of talking about Madam Secretary's email scandal with top secret intelligence, and we don't know how the top secret intelligence got there. When I'm tired, they've won a major victory, but also objectively, this is very likely worse. And the reason it's worse is that, well, Madam Secretary could have been worse, but I have a feeling that the United States government probably knew what was taking place and limited the amount of top secret intelligence on those servers, which is why the Clintons were able to get away with everything. But with Botox B, it's like you have somebody in your family that you can't, it's like he's like a loose cannon. See, the thing with an addict or a person with substance abuse issues and a person who's impulsive is that you can actually run a business. You can actually be a consultant. You can be on the board of directors. You can be, you can have enough intelligence, enough savvy, enough understanding of how graft works to create a network of people to give you money to meet your vice president father. The real problem is the impulsiveness combined with the substance abuse issues, combined with every spy on the planet. Every gorgeous spy on the planet sees a huge opening into the United States government. And so, if you leave a laptop, if you leave a computer, okay, if you leave a computer, it's actually called a honeypot. Okay, it's actually called a honeypot. That's what in espionage it's called a honeypot. Attractive women or men, but you find really beautiful, attractive women, gorgeous women, and you might have seen some in the disinformation pictorials. But you have a person with substance abuse issues. You have a person who obviously enjoys the company of beautiful women. Okay, the difference is Bubba Bill. I don't even touch the stuff, I'll tell you. I mean, I don't need any narcotics. I like a cigar, though, I'll tell you. But you know what? I mean, I leave it to just enjoying relations with random people. I'll leave it at that. And I don't even use email, so I'm not as compromising as some other people. But it's called a honeypot. It's called a honeypot. And that's why, if there's a gorgeous woman comes to me and says, oh my God, are you H.A. Goodman with only 150,000 subs, relatively small channel on YouTube, but I watch you and I'm such a fan? I'll be like, you're Putin. You're Putin. As you know what? I have enough of a low opinion of myself to realize it's Putin. Don't worry about it. I know. I'll know. Believe me, I'm not stupid. I'll know what's going on. I'll know what's going on. So, Eric H526, thank you. So, that's the thing. It's like it's like I'm not gonna be like if you are so if you're such a threat. Yeah, it's just, if you're such a threat that you forget a computer at a computer store, okay? You're such a threat to national security. Like, imagine, I mean, this is the second time. That's awesome. This is the second time that Democrats have lost an election because of a computer they've owned. And both times it was because of very warped, weird Democratic men who like to Lubin Tubin on Zoom meetings or on their emails or whatever. Which gets to another point. PJP 72. They don't need to abolish the Senate if they add 2 states. Exactly. They'll own it for a generation. I agree with you. Think the extreme voter turnout will hurt in Texas. No, I think we have Texas, PJP 72. We got Texas. Early voting, Trump is crushing. He won Texas by let's put it this way. If Ted Cruz, I like Ted Cruz, but he's not like he's not the most amazing candidate in the world. He's a good candidate. And he soundly defeated Beto O'Rourke, who, by the way, is the basis of my Hunter Biden. Beto O'Rourke and Hunter Biden and the vice president's son, Svetlana. They're the same type person. But if Ted Cruz can soundly defeat Beto O'Rourke, I'm not worried about Texas getting going blue anytime soon. I'm reading the chat. It's hilarious. So anyway, but you got to ask yourself, okay, so it's 10 days before the election. President Trump has been impeached. He's had to deal with a pandemic. He has been accused for 3 years of working with Russia. All of these things have nothing to do with President Trump. He was never impeached on a crime he committed because he didn't commit a crime. Bill Clinton did. That's another story. 2 crimes. Anyway, obstruction of justice. They got me on perjury. What is? How is I able to have relations when I is talking to you right now? I mean, have you ever taken a philosophy of language course? I is right here with you. I is not with anyone else. What is the definition of is? I answered you correctly. I answered you honestly. And you still impeached me. You still said I committed perjury, which is, by the way, a criminal offense. But you have all of these things. You have 92% media coverage, negative against Trump. 92%. 92% negative media coverage. Okay? And strange crew, exactly. But you have exactly Dr. Levin, exactly. But you have, and then you have Trump. They're like, oh, he's gonna lose the election. He's gonna lose the election. We have it in the bag. We're on our way to victory. Finally, we'll get rid of Trump. Oops. The little baby quail that they're coddling, known as Botox B. Exactly. Cap Mac 007. Exactly. I wish. I would. Nice pastrami. Oh my God. Love it. Love pastrami. Anyway, and they're still going to lose, which is I've been saying they're going to lose for 4 years. I mean, give me props. You give me props. If Madam Secretary doesn't do what nature intended, I should get some props for 2 straight elections. Come on now. But all you have to do is wait on the computer repair laptop. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You know that Trump is like, don't worry about it. Like, you know, they're like, just don't worry about it. Something will happen. And like, Mr. President, we're down by 16 points. What do we do? Don't worry about it. Mr. President, what do we do? Don't worry about it. It's fine. He's down by 14. 2.5 weeks left. What do we do? We're down by 14 points. Don't worry about it. Suddenly, a computer repair store has a computer. Baby quail and a jar lid on it probably. Count Boobala, hello. But how do you leave a computer? How do you leave? How do you leave? How do you leave a computer in a computer repair store with emails that show that you have been selling your vice president, you've been selling access to the vice president and giving the vice president a cut? Kickbacks, it's called. I want to know how that's possible. And don't tell me substance abuse issues. Because when he wants to use his cranium, he does. Well, there's a couple jokes there, but I'll refrain. But it's like the entire planet now has seen if integrity is on the ballot, the entire planet now has seen integrity. Integrity. Oh, decency. They're so hilarious. They don't realize it. Decency is on the ballot. Decency. They have what they did with Trump is everything he says they manipulate it into the most horrible thing. Did you see what he says? You see what he meant? Well, you can't get him on what he said, so then you get him on what he meant. Then they just fabricate. At first, Trump actually did say crude things. He said a couple crude remarks. It's true. But they weren't as bad as... They were the same crude remarks that Schumer has made. And literally that Biden has made worse remarks. but they were crude, but they were manipulated then. And so at first they were manipulating Trump's words. Then they didn't get enough traction. So they had to fabricate Trump's words. So they had his quotes, then, sorry. Then they manipulated his quotes, then they had what he truly meant. Then they had what he does to people who are bad people. Then they just fabricated quotes because they couldn't. They at that point they were so far off. They were so far gone in terms of propaganda that they just were like, the heck with it. We're just gonna make things up. Count Boobala, thank you. AJ. Joe Biden and Miss Democrats are pretty much. Yeah, I heard about that. And then you have the Federal Bureau of Investigation that now has all the contents. And that's horrendous because they're not, Biden's going to lose the election. Well, for Clinton will replace Biden. I'm still going with that. And there's a better chance that Clinton replaces Biden 30 days after the election and wins the election than Democrats passing Medicare for all or a Green New Deal or doing anything, packing the courts. There's zero chance of that happening. There's a certain chance that it still happens with Clinton. But let's assume it's Biden. Biden will lose the election. It'll be decisive. I don't know, landslide, but it'll be decisive. I don't think they have a chance. I think that all signs point to, a monumental defeat, but it'll be decisive. But in the, less than 1% chance that if they go with Biden, actually, if they're that inept and he wins, he's impeached the month after. He's impeached the month after. And the Senate is going to, the Senate won't convict but he would be impeached just based on that. You don't even need a special counsel. It is so bad you don't need a special counsel. Actually, you could. But you have all the incriminating evidence already. And the interesting thing is that Eric H526, thank you. The interesting thing is that you wouldn't even have a functioning Biden candidacy or administration because you wouldn't have a functioning Biden administration because you would have so much incriminating evidence already. You would have so many incriminating you have so much incriminating evidence already. Pertaining to everything on that computer. That you couldn't even have a functioning, you wouldn't be able to have a functioning political party or administration. So it's interesting too because it's like they definitely don't treat themselves the way they treated President Trump. So, I'm telling you, this is pretty much, you're pretty much done. You're pretty much done as a political party. And you want to talk about people who just follow whatever information. What mainstream media has been wrong on everything pertaining to Trump. And when was the last time media talked about more funding to historically black colleges and universities than any president ever? Democrats didn't do that. When was the last time you talked about a 100-to-1 sentencing disparity that Joe Biden wrote into the crime bill that Democrats passed? Or the destruction of Libya, because President Obama destroyed Libya. Trump didn't do that. So Trump's a supremacist, but it was President Obama who actually destroyed an entire country because of his NATO intervention. And he admitted that it's his worst mistake. But ladies and gentlemen, running out of steam. Count Booble and no sleep till November 4th. Exactly. Oh, November 4th. That's party time. That's party time. Booble. That's party time. Ladies and gentlemen, be here in about 10 minutes. I'll have an upload. And what can I tell you? What can I tell you other than it's happening? It's happening. Trump supporters are actually the most intelligent, the most savvy, the most knowledgeable when it comes to politics. Because they could slice and dice every absurd claim pertaining to Trump. It's the Democrats who actually believe anything they're told, and don't utilize the same standard of accusation against themselves when they're caught with their pants down. It's pretty much always the case nowadays. When they're caught with their pants down, it's just, oh, you know what? It's just a mistake. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. 1,229 people. It's only going to get better. Everybody here, thank you so very, very much. Be here in 10 minutes and be here tomorrow at 1 p.m., people. 1 p.m., people. Thank you so very, very much. Be here in 10 minutes also. People, it's happening. President Trump's going 8 years. So give me your thoughts below. Thanks, everybody. And be here in 10 minutes for the upload.